So let's talk about DevOps history. These guys at DevOps is a very new word. It's not like a very old word. It is not even 1 decade people know about the word called DevOps. It was not there. People started talking. The guy who started talking about DevOps in like back in somewhere in like it's not 2000, yeah, it's 2007, and he asked people to come and join where he's supposed to talk about DevOps. None came to his conference. He was the only guy in the conference to talk about DevOps. But again, the time passed away, and in 2008, 2009, things same this discussion was going on according in the community. And later on, people realized that this is something a new idea. This should be implemented in the industry in order to overcome some existing difficulties. So existing difficulties in a such that such as like DevOps, they say development and operations, right? Dev stands for development, Ops stands for operations. So maybe I'll show you some more slide where you will be very easy to understand. So you can look into this site, right? Development teams and operations teams. Operations teams operations team does not have any idea of programming, coding, or they don't have any relation with operation team doesn't have any relation with regards to development. So they are like they used to work in isolated environment. I have seen in our organization where we had operations team, also we had DevOps team. These operations team are super isolated. They were there not because of new technologies. They were there because that's a very old organizations, around 40-50 years old organizations, and there are lots of legacy application, right? There are lots of legacy application, and we had to have those people on board to maintain all those applications, all other infrastructure. One thing we will do throughout the course, okay, many a times I will try to tell you my experience or things I know from the real world, okay, and those things, if it does not make sense 100%, you have right to ask me, but I cannot give you guarantee I can make you feel 100% what I'm trying to explain, those real world scenarios, right? My experiences. But if you can put some attention, take some note on that, and it will make a lot more sense as we proceed in future classes. Okay? Because when I say this stuff, it is based upon my experience and my expertise, right? And then maybe many of you do not have that as of now. Maybe, I don't know, many of you maybe know more than me what I know. That might happen, right? So but as we proceed, we will be facing lots of technologies, number of technologies within AWS ecosystem that will allow us to accumulate all these experiences we are trying to share. So what's the point of saying this? When we say I experience, things may not go in your brain straightforward, all of it, right? Few words will be unknown to you, but at some point things will make more sense, right? So your duty is to ask me question, my duty is to explain you, right? I will try my best. So as I said about this operations team, right? So we had operations team. They used to take a compile file or jar files. We used to give them jar files. They used to take it, like development team used to give jar files. They used to deploy it some other servers, right? And they had no relation with the development team. No relation, straightforward. They do not know what's going on in the development team, how we are fighting hard to fix something or create something. So that's something not good, right? Not good. I have seen this experience earlier because those infrastructure people has different mindset than a development team. So you both are working for the same purpose, right? Dev and ops. If I go back to my drawing board, right? I'm not good at drawing, but I will use this sketch for freehand drawing, okay? So like both dev and ops team, right? Both works for one goal. Do you understand this? Do you get this point? development team and operations team, right? Both of them works for same goal. What is that goal? To have your app up and running 24/7 in a healthy manner, right? Is there anything else apart from this goal? You are
No.
creating your application, you are creating your application according to your business requirement. In the development team, you have people like developer, you have people like QA engineers, you have people like business analysts, project managers. All of you as a team work together to build an app, right? And then operations team helps you. I'm talking about the older culture without DevOps, right? Operations teams helps you to give it life, right? To drop that application, to drop that jar file in a server and give it a life, right? Now, if these two team work separate, putting some wall in between this, right? These guys don't know what this guy is doing, and these guys don't like this guy don't know what this guy is doing, which is not so good, right? Which is not so good for a team because you work for same purpose. So hence the idea of DevOps came into place, that you would like to make such a culture where development and operations will go hands in hands. There should not be any barrier in between that. So the culture of DevOps came into the scenario from this very fact. Okay, this was the very fact why this thing came up. The person who came up, he is most likely, I forgot his, you may find it in the slide. That guy is from, I think, Denmark or somewhere in the Europe. He faced he started thinking about it due to a project.
Belgium.
Belgium? Yeah, thank you. So he had issues to, look into about a private project, I think a government project he was looking into. So anyways, he came up and it took quite a good time to, come into the real world. So hence the idea of DevOps came to create a culture. It's not about a tool, okay? People often get some misunderstanding that DevOps is all about tools. Definitely everywhere there are tools. You need to understand tools. You need to understand lots of things everywhere, right? But DevOps doesn't mean it's tools. It is talking about a culture where development team and operations team works very closely without this barrier. So we have now created positions called DevOps. Those people has a good understanding on development. They have good understanding on operations. Thus they can effectively talk to dev team what's going on and run that operation smoothly, right? Because these guys has understanding, knowledge and development. These guys has like a clear picture of development, right? In earlier case, this guy didn't have. They were just like, I don't know, maybe they were good at networking, they are good at some other stuff, but they had no idea of real world development. So now from there this culture came into pictures, actually, in very simple, if we say in a very simple word. So DevOps is a culture. Like it's not about a tools. Okay, now there are something new came into the scenario called DevSecOps. How many of you have heard this name? DevSec stands for security. Okay, there are few positions with this name. Now they want a guy with more specialty on security as well. As a DevOps engineer, you will also have some understanding on security, but now they are looking for some form of specialty on that. But we will not be talking about this position at this point. It is not much needed to talk about it. But there are positions like that. Okay, DevSecOps. There's a slightly different culture than DevOps, but yeah, it is there. The idea is there, but not maybe not that popular in the industry. Well, any question?
Yes. So I know what developer is doing, but I don't know what operation team is doing. So after coming DevOps, is there operation team or that is obsolete?
So it's a good question. Okay, So there are still operations team, okay? In a bigger organizations, there are still operations team. So those teams are, how should I explain you this? So those teams are more on high level infrastructures operations. So there are some people, we name it in some companies, not in every companies, okay? So we have dev, right? Developers, and also QA engineers in a same team, and all other technical people, right? Then we have people called DevOps, right? We have, we will get to know what these guys do, right? Because we will be doing it next few weeks. Now, then we have something called operations team. So this may not be named as operations in some companies. This may be named as networking team. This may be named as advanced networking team. This may be named as SRE, site reliability engineer. Okay. So this could be named in various different way, right? So these are these people are not actually heavily related on deployment, not heavily related on development, not heavily related on infrastructure solution. Does it make sense a little bit?
Yeah, looks like that operation team is going to be obsolete in very soon, in future
Um,
maybe.
like many companies, we don't have. Like we have people called, let's say, some network engineer. We have some network engineer, those who has more clear understanding or more expertise on a specific network and network security, right? So there are some people with that positions, right? They only think about because there are various industry requirement in order to maintain the security. Like to maintain the security, there are various industry requirement. There is a requirement called SOC. Oh, actually, so let me stop talking about this. Sorry, there are some industry security requirement. You have to maintain those requirement. So to maintain all these, we need some people who is going to only concentrate on network, on securities and things like that, right? Now, but on the other hand, what we see with DevOps engineers, they are more closely working with the development team. They are more closely worried about deployment. They are more closely worried about infrastructure solution. That means solution architect. They are most their job is like mostly this type of activities. You know, doing proper deployment, doing proper infrastructure provisioning. You know, create infrastructure to maintain your code, to maintain your applications, and to give a solution. To give a solution, try to understand the word. It's a very big word. When we say a solution architect, they actually suggest to development team, you know what, you want to solve this problem, and we have these 4 services which may help you in order to achieve your goal. That's what a DevOps guy does, right? So let me little bit clarify. Let us assume that your team would like to create a simple application, which application, um, let's say there is a very new app came into the city. Let's talk about that app. So there is a contract tracing app in the New York City. I don't know it is in other state or not. So that app, what it does, so far I didn't use it, I just read it in the newspaper. So that app does that, it notifies you around you who has COVID-19, right? Around you, like if you go to in a mall, maybe within your 10 meter 20-meter distance, or within the same mall, who is moving with COVID-19. So that's that app. That app works based on your geolocation, based on the information you submitted when you got COVID positive, right? So let me summarize here in a simple way. So your team want to build an app which is going to notify, right, going to notify yourself or many other people, whether like they have, whether you are in the vicinity of a COVID-19 patient or not, right? So let us assume for the simplification, this is coming using SMS, right? You are getting SMS notification, but they are using underlying application to send you this SMS. Now let us assume this is a very simple example. I'm not talking about a complex example now. So your team came to you and say that, you know what, like let's say your developer maybe worked before in GCP, okay, Google Cloud. He didn't work in AWS. So he may not know about all the AWS services, which services for what and how they can be utilized, right? They may not be completely aware. So as a DevOps engineer, you can give them a solution. You know what? In AWS, we have some solution called, some service called maybe SNS, Simple Notification Service. If you use that service and they have already underlying APIs, and you can use those API to send SMS to anyone you want. We can do rest of the configuration for you, right? So this simple solution, this is a very simple solution I'm talking about, and the real world does not have this much simple solution, right? Real world has more complex solutions, more complex infrastructures, more complex architecture, right? So as a DevOps engineer, as a solution architect, you actually suggest people this. You say them, you give them this information because you are more confident on this. You are like, you are someone who has expertise over these services. Not, you cannot expect all the developers will have this expertise, because their position is limited to coding. Not all developers are expert in cloud computing. Don't expect this. Okay, not all the developers are very competent in cloud computing. It is very normal. You cannot say that, okay, these are dumb developers. You should not say this, because they may not got that chance to be exposed to the system, right? But they are good at their job, right? They know how to code. They know how to build an application. If we train them, if you give them opportunity, if they get a chance, they will definitely understand that. As it is not their job responsibility in an enterprise level application, they may not be aware of all these 100 services within AWS ecosystem. Does it make some sense? Little bit?
Yes, it does.
Okay, cool. So I look, let me, older people, you guys 100% knows about me, right? So don't allow me to say it twice. You have chat box open, guys, and I would like you guys to respond in chat box. And if I see, you guys are not responding in chat box, yes, no, very good, I will definitely call you out by your name. That won't be good. Okay, please, because this is, I don't know where is you, right? You may get asleep, right? You may not have attention. So we need to, interactive, we need to talk to each other. We need to have that attention. It's not like Jaidul is talking, you guys are eating burger, okay, ordering from Uber. Don't do it, okay? Good, guys. And maybe guys from Bangladesh don't order from Food Panda this early morning, okay? So relax and put your phone away, put anything which is disturbing you away, and focus in this. That will help you. You are just spending some time with us. We want you to get benefit. So this is just few hours. So it's not tough for me to identify, right, that you are not concentrating. And don't you guys are mature, you guys have, that's why you are in this course, right? This course, when people comes in, I usually don't take any fresher. I think I said you guys before. So at least you guys are mature enough, I expect. So well, any question, any other questions about this? Muzammal, you are clear now?
I mean, yeah, a little bit clear. I don't know operations. I didn't understand much, but yeah, a little bit clear. I
Okay,
think we
so
should.
no worries. I will give you another simple example of operations. You will get to know this now, okay? So the old days, okay? Old days. Talking about old days. There was development team and there was operations team. Only these two. Okay? Only these two. These guys are doing coding, pushing that code in some repo, maybe some GitHub or maybe some Bitbucket. Okay, some code repo. Now, what this guy is going to do, this guy, I have seen a case that we have to, the development team has to, create those jar file, package. We are talking about a Java application. So development team has to create this jar file or war file, right? and the package, right? If it is .NET DLL, right? So development team has to package all these application maybe, and then put it in some storage, maybe a C drive, let's say, somewhere in a C drive, and let's say app package. And this guy, and you just let them know, you know what, I just kept the jar file for this XYZ ABCD application in this folder. Can you deploy it in a QA environment? Okay, well, we will do it. So now ops team will say, okay, let us start a server. So they are going to start a server, or maybe they are going to push that code in an old server, whatsoever. It is their job. Okay, now they will take this and they will deploy it. And now this guy is responsible to maintain servers, to deploy the code, to look after the security and all those tasks. Maybe they have different advanced security guys in the team, that's different story. But all in a whole, in general, they do all these tasks. But what is the difference with DevOps and with their task? They are a lot more manual process. See, we will do here, we will give them and they will do it, number one. Number two, they are isolated. They are not closely working with development team, right? They are absolutely different team. They give you a code, you create a jar file as a developer, and you check that jar file is working in your computer, but it may not work in the server. Because why? You didn't test in the server. Maybe your is Windows 10, okay, and this is going
So
to be installed in maybe Red Hat Linux. How do you expect both will behave in the same way? It may not.
no, Jahid, I understand. I understand these parts. Actually, my question was, I think you didn't get my question. So anyway, but is this related to the course? If it is not, then maybe we can drop this matter and we can
No,
go
no, no.
ahead.
You need to get a clear picture on ops team, right? So if you don't get it, you don't get the concept of DevOps, right?
Yeah.
So
So
this,
the concept of DevOps, I get it. My question was, let's say now all these all these like server handling and security, all these are done by the DevOps team. Now, in present scenario, DevOps team is doing all these things what operations team used to do. Now, what does operations team do right now in present scenario if
yeah,
DevOps team is there?
okay, got it. So actually, that answer is pretty straightforward. By looking into the scenarios, you understand their job is reducing, right? And that's a fact. That's a fact.
Yes.
Like 10 years back, if there was 100 jobs for our operations team, now there are maybe 20 jobs or 30 jobs, maybe 40 jobs, 50%, 60% decline in the jobs. Right now, those people are trying to learn cloud computing. Those people are trying to learn all those sophisticated technology what we have at present in order to claim the position of DevOps. So that's a obvious, that's a reality that already happened and it is happening. Okay, so
Yeah.
the
Okay.
position, you got the clear answer, right? Muzammel, you are good now, right?
Yes. Yes. I'm good.
Yeah. So I have seen people, they are like from ops team, they are still worried. Like I have found few people, they reached out to me that, you know what, I did all this network administration, this and that, but now I'm finding difficulties to get a job, right? And looks like I need to get into cloud, otherwise it is becoming hard for me to, because those people cannot jump into development immediately, right? They are maybe long time in operations team, they don't have practice with lots of coding and things like that, so they have only best option to move into DevOps. So yes, it is true, it is happening. Okay, but there are companies that, like the positions, as I said, SRE positions are very critical positions, and not all the companies has SRE position, okay, site reliability engineer positions. These are few large corporations, those who have these SRE positions. And I personally do not like to join as a SRE, because in many cases these are shift job. So you may have to attend now day shift, and maybe after 2 weeks you may have to attend night shift, or maybe weekly twice or thrice maybe you have to be on call for night. So these are more with regards to time, I don't like. I personally don't like. But in DevOps also you may have to attend some calls at night, maybe at some odd hours, but that's not like always true. Okay, that's not. But SRE is more in that regards. SRE is in different category. Okay, so I hope we have some clear understanding. Correct? Sheikh. There are two Sheikh now I have actually. Asif Sheikh and Sheikh Somen. So Shomen and Asif. Asif, what about you? Good? Hmm. Okay, all right. Asif is COVID-19 survivor, right, Asif? Should we congratulate you or should we celebrate it? You are in that stage or not? Mr. Asif, I am still sick, but much better. Man, it is already more than 14 days. What COVID-19? You don't have COVID-19. This is all in your brain. Wash your brain properly, okay? And get out of COVID-19. No COVID-19, okay? Yeah, Asif has COVID-19 in his brain now, okay? You
You are,
all guys need to help him to take it out of his brain.
yeah, you are talking like Health Minister of Bangladesh. You should.
No, I'm in touch with Asif, so I'm aware. Like he was in actually hospital. He had bad situations. Actually, I discussed in other class. I think you guys heard. You said that at the beginning. I'm sorry for that. I said it even you had at the beginning. Yeah, I sincerely apologize for that. But yeah, even I get this. I do same thing to myself actually. And when things started at the beginning, I suffered 4 days severe fever, which I usually don't, and most likely that was a very peak time in New York. But yeah, anyways, you survived, and inshallah you will survive next as well. Okay. Yeah, many people died, so the projection is very high. Anyways, so let's focus on our session. So let's go to slide that's about DevOps and operations and development, right? And this is a very simple, life cycle we are talking about. We will be referring this one of the core thing within DevOps. As I said earlier, right? What our industry need, guys. Understanding the concept is very important. So you can feel your role. You can feel why things is happening, right? Why I need to do this and why I need to do that. So in a industry, as I said, we have like in earlier days, the development used to be, the each, say, let's say version 1.0 is in the month of January, version 1.1 in maybe month of February, version 1.2 maybe in month of February 21. This might be 01, this might be 02. That was all day development. Now the scenario has changed, right? The version, like we need to roll out code as soon as possible. So we do development, like developers are doing some coding, some activities, some enhancement of the application, maybe some fix of the bug, or maybe some new feature they are adding, and it is very rapid. And this rapid change need to go to production environment very quick. We want this change people to see, right? So it goes in between QA environment maybe we have some other environment like UAT, user acceptance environment. So the code is going all the way along until prod, and it takes time, right? If you have different setup in QA, UAT, and prod, you may take a longer time if it is not in an automated manner, if it is done by human hand, right? And when there was one release or two release in a month, that was okay, right? But now you may have a release every week. For some industries, some companies, they have for their app releasing every week, maybe every after few days. So much fast development they are doing. Like company like Google, they have thousands of deployment every day. Thousands of changes are going every day. So that's like a company you know by name. But there are companies, more enterprise level companies in the United States, in North America, across the world, right? They have to roll out code swiftly. I don't know you guys are getting my word when I say rollout. Rollout means what? Do you guys are familiar with this word? I'm not talking about dictionary meaning. Okay, we are not talking about dictionary meaning. Rolling out means taking the code until the production, right? Rolling out means taking your code in a QA environment, rolling out in UAT environment, rolling out in a production environment. All we want this thing to happen quick. We don't want to delay, because think about a simple thing, right? If you are a owner of Amazon.com, let's say you are Jeff Bezos, it's a multi-million or billion-dollar company. You don't want to send a change after 10 days when your Thanksgiving holiday is over. Maybe you have seen some rapid market change, you want to give a new offer to your customer. Maybe you just got this idea, your business analyst or your market analyst, they have got the idea in the noon time, and they realize they need to effectively activate that one as soon as possible before the holiday peak starts. So they may start talking to the teams, they may start talking to the management. Can we do it? Can we make some fix like this? Can we do something like this? Maybe team will say yes, we can do it, we have time more than 48 hours, we will do it. So by that 48 hours, the code need to be developed, code need to be tested in a QA environment, code need to be tested in a user acceptance environment, and then code is going to production environment. These are massive tasks. Now, the ultimate goal is your users, right? You want your users to see what you have developed. That's your ultimate goal. These are not ultimate goal. This is something you're supposed to do, because you have to deploy the code in QA environment, test it. You have to deploy the code in UAT environment, test it. You have to deploy the code in production environment and definitely test it. All this takes time, right? And when there was only one release, you might have done it in a regular way. But in a current cases, you cannot do it. If you do it, your business is going to lose, because your customer, if they don't see these new changes, you are not making money. You need to understand this is all about money, right? Business is all about business, right? These, when we talk about, these are the things we don't talk about creating a simple website with a static contents, or maybe that business is maybe only $1,000 old business or $10,000 old business. We are talking about an application which might be $1 million business matter, right? Which might be effectively making some 100 millions money for that company. So as a DevOps engineer, you are the person going to be responsible to maintain that scale of application. Now you need to understand how critical person you are in that team, right? Now, if we come back to the earlier discussion, we need the bottom line of this explanation, what I was trying to tell you guys, the bottom line is we need to release or roll out the code as soon as possible. We cannot wait for 1 month. So we need to release the code to our users. And before it goes to user, definitely it will be going to multiple environments. In this case, I'm just showing 2 environments. In your company, you may have 3 environments. You may have some other environment called dev or development. Okay. Anyone has confusion about this word called environment? Wahid, Muntakin, any of you?
No, but I thought I had that CI/CD pipeline about deploying application, but I never
Yeah,
had
we are not
QA.
going there actually. We are not talking about CI/CD. This is a very big word. We don't want to, overload our brain.
Okay.
Okay, don't worry. So that is like how to do, right? We are trying to understand the concept more better way, right? We are trying to address the problem. When you know the problems, you can find out the solution, right? We need to know why this thing came into the scenario. The word you said CI/CD, why it came into the scenario, right? So we need to understand the underlying fact. But anyways, any of you have confusion with the word called environment I am mentioning? You can ask any question. Don't care like whether this question is an idiot question or this question is what. As long as you have question, throw that question in the class. Don't just sit down and think. Do not consider who you are, with whom you are. Do not consider any of this. We all are in a same boat. You have full right to ask question. If you don't ask question, tomorrow when I go for next class, I may come back to these questions. And if you are unable to answer those questions, that I may lose my mind. That won't be good pleasant experience for both of us, right? So feel free to ask question, anything. I have until I have energy and ability to explain, I will. And definitely when I don't know, I will raise my 2 hands. I will say hands up, surrender, I don't know. What I can do further research, get to know that item, and I will return back to you as soon as possible. If I don't know something, I will acknowledge it. So any question you can ask me. If I have answer, I will. If I don't have, I will get back. Okay. I'm not someone supposed to know everything. If someone claims that he knows everything, he's a big fat liar. So I don't want to be among those big fat liars. Okay, cool. So the main goal is to transform the code as soon as possible, right? Faster manner, better manner, efficient manner, right? That's why we need lots of mechanism in place. That's the image is actually talking about, right? We are talking about build. So we have this is our code repo. It might be a Git, might be a subversion, might be something else. So where we have our code, from here we send it to the build, right? We do generate our jar files, DLL, or any other package we would like to create. And then those packages going to be deployed in some environment, means some servers, some infrastructure. And as soon as it is deployed, now application has its own life, then this thing is going to be tested, right? Actually, there was test in this stage as well. That test was unit test, because the unit test will happen before your package is built. Am I correct, developers?
Yes.
Right. Am I correct, you engineers? Only 2 years, 3 years. What happened with the rest of 6 people? QA engineers, you know what is your purpose, why you are in this session, right? All of you know, right? So make sure you get maximum out of it, okay? It is very rare. Not everyone is, I won't say blessed, not everyone is opportunate to have exposure at this level before they jump into QA position. It is rare case. Okay, just believe my word. Okay, I didn't know the level you guys has scope to know now in your stage. Well, so during build, so build will also, so to do build, like we need some infrastructure, right? QA engineers, we cannot build in a heaven, right? We need some computers, some servers where we are going to build, create these jar files. Our unit testing will happen before we create the package. If everything is good, unit test passed, we go create package over here like something jar files, and then the deployment happens to a server. Then once it is deployed to server, further testing will be done. It could be a UI testing, which is front end testing or functional testing. It could be a API testing. It could be a performance testing. Okay, any, depending on your application, depending on your situation, all this testing need to be done at this stage, right? Then only you are going to release it for next step. Maybe this is a QA environment. Next, you are going to deploy it to further higher environment. When we say higher environment, it means QA, let's say dev. This is a lower environment, okay? Color. Okay, so actually I should get this guy from here as well. I'm just like, so when we say lower environment means this is the fast environment where you are going to, your developers are developing, so they are going to put it here, right? Then if it is good in development, you take this jar file into the QA environment. It goes to QA environment, right? Actually, the same cycle will happen. The same cycle will happen. Whatever cycle you see here, exactly same cycle will happen for the next QA environment. It will go source, it will do build, and it will do all these and come to QA environment. And then UAT environment, then prod environment. All these cases you are doing testing. Performance, API, and functional testing, which is UI testing. Right? It depends upon your application. If it is only a API, you don't have any UI, so you cannot do any sorts of front-end testing, right? Using Selenium or other things. So in that case, you may you are remaining with the API testing. So you should conduct a proper API testing. And if this API testing requires performance testing, you need to do it. Not all the APIs requires performance testing. Why? Let's say you have a company, you have an API which is going to be used by only 100 users. You are for sure, because you know this API may be internal API, right? It is going to be used within your organization, or maybe you know that there will be very less traffic into the API application, so you may not need performance testing, but you still need to do API testing. You still need to do that API testing validation. Am I correct? Good, guys? Yes. Okay, all right. So this cycle is going to happen in every stage, in a development stage, in a QA stage, UAT stage, and prod stage, right? That's the environment knowledge, right? Many of you don't have a real exposure to the system, real exposure to the enterprise system. So we have to address this issue. So now we all are talking about this a manual process. As a DevOps engineer, you need to implement a process which will be one-click process. Which will be one-click process. What that means? As soon as we will come back to maybe some other slide where maybe we can talk about it, right? So this slide may help me to explain a little better. So when I say one-click process, it means this is the code your developer are going to commit, right, in the repo, right? So it is going to maybe your Bitbucket, your code commit or whatsoever Git repo you have. We will definitely go over all this hands-on, right? Using our ecosystem, using our things. But I'm trying to address the issue of DevOps, right? What a DevOps engineer is at the end of the day, why he's so crucial, why he's so important. Because he is actually coming out of this manual process we are talking about. This is a manual process: build, deploy, test, release. We want to see this thing happens by a click. So we will make one click and everything will happen one after one sequentially. And we will be notified if build failed, maybe your unit test failed, we will be notified. Responsible people will be notified. If deployment failed, responsible people will be notified. If test failed, responsible people is going to be notified. If you cannot release in further environment, that also will be notified. So all this process need to be automated at the end of the day. And then the concept of continuous integration and continuous deployments comes into the play or into the scenarios. So we are talking about that one click process. We do developer do commit their code in a Git repo, right? Whatsoever the repo you use, and everything will happen in one go, right? Now this is lots of work. This is not very like, when it is enterprise level application, it is not like very easy, like very normal task. It's require lots of activities, right? Lots of tools we need to use, lots of integration equipments we need to use, maybe some scripts we need to use, some files we need to know how to use. So there are a bunch of stuff we need to understand. So we will learn this stuff within our course framework using AWS ecosystem. So when I use the word called AWS ecosystem, what I would like to mention that using the services within AWS. Using the services within AWS. So AWS has all these bunch of things with them. We'll be utilizing that to understand, to implement this process. Any question? Okay, fantastic. Okay, all right. So now let's move next. Yeah. So we won't be talking all those nonsense stuff. You can refer to this later on. So there's something, a core responsibility of a DevOps engineer. Okay, maybe you may end up in an organization where it is not yet automated. People may hire you to do this automation, to build this process, right? Or you may be in a place where you will be participating with other people with the existing system in place. So you may have to only learn what is the things over there, and you just do that day-to-day activities, because these are day-to-day activities. It is not like one-day activities. You have 10 apps, you may have 10 pipelines, 10 automated process, because those apps need to be regularly go into the QA, development, UAT, and production environment. Right? This thing is continuous. This is not one-time task. You do one time, but you maintain it for a longer period of time. And that's why we need a DevOps engineer to maintain it, to look after this. No question, you guys said. So there's a continuous integration and continuous delivery, right? So when they say continuous integration, actually they would like to mean that, an application need to be integrated, right? Need to be tested for different components. So when you deploy it, you do test and do everything, right? And then you deliver it to your specific environment, higher environment. So you actually do continuous integration and you do continuous delivery. That's what actually they would like to mean in a simpler manner. And you don't have any question, as you said. Now, this actually we already how does a DevOps team accomplish all the above, right? Yes, how do they do it? That's like a $1 million questions, right? So as a DevOps engineer, we need to actually get to know all these various components and all these various services, various tools, various scope, various, what should I say, like, I don't like to say the word called tools, okay? Various system we have in place to use. So as a DevOps engineer, you get to know that and you need to implement it in time of need. Okay, so look into this. Development, quality assurance. I like this set, technology operations, all these together, and the subset is DevOps. You see it in between. So you are closely related with a QA engineer. You are closely related with technology operations. You are closely related with development. So you are someone who need to have really, um, that amount of collaboration power, because you need to talk to a developer. You need to understand their need. You need to know how you can support them. So you need to let them know what you know, and you need to know their requirement too. You need to understand how a QA guy works. What is their requirement? How do they want to test particular things? How can you help them out in order to ensure their proper testing? And as a DevOps engineer, you also do testing, but your testing is maybe infrastructure level testing. Because if you create some system, don't you think we have to ensure that system is running well? This is an automated system, right? If I create an automated system which has lots of moving parts, right? See, there are lots of moving parts. Can you see these small signs? It just want to show that there are lots of moving parts. There are lots of components, I would say. So when you create lots of components, you need to test all the components is working well or not before you ask your developers to push code, right? Are you guys following me? When you will create some services, when you will create some infrastructure and you ask your developers to use it, or you are saying to your team, you know what, my infrastructures are ready to use. How do you say the word called ready if you do not test your infrastructure, if you do not test your pipeline? Now the pipeline is an example. There might be more complex infrastructure, other infrastructure, right? Pipeline is not an infrastructure. Pipeline is managing some infrastructures for deployment. So within these, there are lots of moving parts. All I can tell you in a simpler manner at this point. There are lots of moving parts inside this, right? So when you create it, you need to ensure that it is working well, because you are the person who created it. You are the person said that infrastructure is ready. If you provision a server and you said that, okay, the server is ready to get the packages, right, to install the applications. How do you say the word ready if you don't test? So do you now understand a DevOps engineer also need to do some level of testing? Do you agree with this? Do you get this concept? Right. So like, who is that? Wahid, right? So Wahid, if I answer your question, right? Okay, we'll tell you what is stage, Fatima. Let me answer first Wahid question. Okay. So like, it's a good question. Okay. Does the DevOps only test the environment? So it depends. What is the scope of that DevOps? Right? Especially a DevOps engineer is responsible to manage those environments. If he is responsible to manage those, it is his responsibility to tell that my environments are healthy and operational. Right? So that's his responsibility. Now he is not responsible to test the code, to test the functionality of your code, because it is you as a developer responsible for unit testing. As a QA engineer or someone else who is a QA engineer, he is responsible to ensure the functionality or the middle layer like API or performance or whatsoever with regards to application. That's not actually a responsibility of a DevOps engineer in a standard organization. I'm talking about a standard world. Oh, have I answered your question? Okay, thank you. So it could be infrastructure, it could be some methodology, it could be some process we implement. We are going to build a process and we are going to say to our team, I have built a process and this is going to help you this way and this is ready to use. How do I tell them? If I has not tested them out? As a DevOps engineer, you also going to write a lot many scripts, write lot many codes. You may have to
Hi.
automate lot many. Sorry.
Can you give a example of CI/CD pipeline in case of real world example? It
Oh
will
yeah,
be
yeah, sure.
better.
We will do it hands-on, okay? We are not like
Okay.
in this session, we will not do it because that's a big, that will take one class, two class, okay?
Okay. Okay.
It will take, we will go step by step. I will go to the roadmap shortly. I will tell you, then you will realize when, at what point we will introduce that one, okay? This class, we are trying to give you the concept, okay? As a first class, we will not go hands-on any activities, but going forward, rest of the classes will be mostly hands-on, okay? So we want you to have your concept transparent and clear, right? Then learning tools, how to do it and how to see all this. There are a bunch of things we need to learn that will going forward learn. I'm trying to making the concept very clear to all of you, those who has maybe worked in the industry, those who hasn't worked in the industry, right? When I say industry, I'm talking about a very standard industry. Okay, maybe you might have developed some code, you might have developed some applications. I spoke with a couple of you guys, like Showman. Showman has experience of developing some game, right, Showman? So yeah, so there are a couple of guys like that. So maybe you worked with so that's we are talking about a standard environment, standard corporation, how IT team works, right? How development team works. So we are trying to give you that concept. Well, if you don't have any questions, I will go proceed to next. So um, why we are choosing AWS? This pie chart may tell you that why. Most of the market share is AWS. Okay, most of them. And I don't know you have seen a new news or not. Today I don't know. Did I share this news with you guys in the page? Or there was a big acquisition of. There was a. Okay, anyways, that's like not relevant. There was a big supersonic plane company. They actually made a contract with AWS. And a few days back, there was another company, a very big company. Oh, I forgot the name. Very well-known company. They're supposed to go with Azure. No, I have forgot that company name. Okay, I just saw that news yesterday. So it is a market player, okay? So we would like to focus into people, those who has more market share, right? Those who has more clients, because we need job, right? We just don't want to learn something and we cannot implement it. So that's like one of the reason why they are market leader. We would like to go with them first. But in future, you can take a step to learn Azure, Google Cloud. That won't give you a hard time because the concept wise, most of the services are similar. Maybe naming is different, maybe they have some right and left, they have something enhanced, something not enhanced, things like that. But the concept, cloud computing concept wise, none of them are like far far like far difference. They still need to provide you some service, they still need to provide you some server as a service, application as a service, and so on and so forth, right? They still need to give you storage, they still need to give you Similar things, all I can tell you, similar things. So we'll be focusing on AWS. So this is something we should talk here, right, as a roadmap of our course. So just to give you a reminder, today we may overshoot more 10 minutes or 15 minutes, I don't know. Just keep it in your brain. Today we may not finish 9:30. I will try my best, but we may overshoot 10 or 15 minutes. This is just an early warning. So now we are talking about AWS certification path. Okay. Now, as we said earlier, the way we have created our curriculum. We eventually you should be ready for 2 certification exams: AWS Developer Associate, AWS Solution Architect. These 2 certification, at least these 2. Now, usually people starts with Solution Architect, regular people, and then they go to Developer Associate or CSAP Administrator. Okay. Now, and then these 2 certification leads you towards DevOps Professional, which is a very tough exam. This is also tough, but this is extremely tough. Okay, and there are very few number of people has this certification, very few thousand. Okay, not like too many. So anyways, that's actually 3 hours exam. This is actually 1 hour 30 minutes or 40 minutes exam, and there will be 65 questions, and you need to answer them. Those are solutions. Questions may take you 1 or 2 minutes to read, or we will be talking about exams and tips in future classes, but just to tell you that we will have a focus to pick up exam materials. So to understand services in terms of answering in the exams, that's one goal. And there will be other goal to understand or to learn skills of particular services in order to implement it in your workplace. Because in the exams you may have very high level question, you may not have very low level questions, very in details question, very low level APIs activities, low level configuration activities, right? But we have to do that in order to achieve our skill set. So we'll dig down in number of services little inside. Some services will go high level, we will not go very inside. So there will be some adjustment with that, right? And we expect you to be prepared by third month. We expect you to appear exam before third month, okay, or during third month, we would expect. And I will roll out the plan how we will proceed with these exam preparations and when to do what. Okay, so in going forward classes. So this is one of the thing in our bucket. Any of you can achieve it, any of you can achieve it, subjected you work hard with us. And if you can have that certification in your hand with your honest skill set, you definitely remain distinct in the market, whatsoever position you apply. Either you apply as a DevOps engineer positions, developer positions, or as a QA engineer position, right? We are struggling with a different scenario in the globe. Okay, in these situations we need to be much stronger than before, right? So having this skill set definitely will take you ahead. So our goal will be these 2: developer associate and solution architect associate. Any question on this?
Can you tell us a little bit more about what is developer associate means and solution architect means?
Okay, so the good question. So there are fine difference between these 2. Okay, so I can give you a simple example. This is heavily focused on developers. When you get this certification, you can claim yourself AWS developer. And solution architect is, you can see it is leading towards solution architect professional exam. Again, this is also a high voltage exam. This is also high voltage. Don't think this is a simple one, but this is more high voltage because it's 180 minutes exam, and there are crazy questions, you may need 2.5 minutes to read the question alone, and it is too hard to keep your concentration in that level. In this one, there are 65 questions as of now, whatever, if there is no changes in the exam curriculum as of now. Now, the difference between solution architect and developer, I can give you just one simple example. When you focus for developer associate exam, you need to more focus on underlying APIs, underlying development perspective. As a developer, how you use this XYZ service as a developer, right? Then you may have to look into the specific service APIs. You may have to look into more low-level informations of that particular services in order to do your development. So when we ask you a question in a developer associate exam, we will consider yourself a developer, okay, who is looking for a AWS service to incorporate with his application. Now you are going to code use a service out of AWS, and you need to code, you need to use some APIs, you need to understand the service very well from internally, right, in order to build your application. Whereas in a solution architect, we may not expect from you to know all those low-level API activities or all those very low-level informations. We may more focus on whether you know X service, Y service, how it works, what it does, how it happens, like this level of questions. Does it make some sense? I have one more point. Until here, is that, like, do you find something comfortable, understandable?
How far I understood is solution architect is all about like using the tools and interact with each other between the tools, how to do it. Is that correct?
Yeah, you are correct, but developer associate also will ask you similar things, okay? But there are difference. Now, if I give you second point, that will make it more clear. So in a level of difficulties, developer associate is much more difficult than solution architect. And developer associate allows you to know a service internally more better way. If I prepare you for developer associate, you prepare for hard one. Thus, I expect you will be prepared for solution architect as a byproduct. Subjected, you put some other efforts, right? So in a scale of difficulties, developer associate is little more difficult than solution architect. Does that make some sense now? Yes or no?
Yes.
Both is associate level certificate, okay? The certificate level is same, associate, but there are different level of difficulties. So as I love this certification because that allows a candidate to understand more in depth about a service than a solution architect. I get angry when I read about solution architect. Okay, I do have both certification, and actually I took my developer associate first, then I took my solution architect. So I do apply the same theory for my students as well. Make sense, guys? So that's a proven theory. That's not theory, that's the proven things. Okay, so I started studying for solution architect, to be honest, and then I realized these are all garbage. This does not make me happy. Garbage in a sense, it does not give me more understanding, it does not tell me or allow me to understand more things in depth. Then I started exploring developer associate. I found the level of questions are more interesting, and it is allowing me to go more in depth to the questions, to the services. Then I realized that I should not, solution architect is not attracting me. I need to get that certification, that's different story, but let me do the tougher one, developer associate one. That's why I did developer associate first. And from that real world experience, which I achieved, and I do apply the same with my candidates. So if you do something, you have some level of confidence on that. So I use that confidence and that experience to prepare you guys. Make sense? Fair enough or no? No? Okay. No, fair enough. Understood. Unfair, right? Very unfair. Okay. So outcome of the course. Okay, we will be fully loaded for AWS Developer Associate Solution Architect and DevOps role. We expect you move around. Right? Now we would like to go back one more stuff as promised. Let me escape from here. And final thing, we would like to talk about what was our items. What is DevOps? Course roadmap, right? So now we are going to lay out what we are going to do next few days, right? So we'll give you some fair idea. Like you may have seen in the introductory videos, but you didn't see this much low level information. So we'll try to give you more fair understanding. Okay, so all of you have like access to this, right? Anyone who don't have, you all should have. Okay, we worked hard to ensure that you have this access before you come into the class. All users, you should find it under your new username, and you all are there. If we has not missed you by mistake. Rain, Fatima, what about you guys? Okay, cool. No, you should see DevOps, okay? You should see DevOps 2002 means earlier batch, and you should see DevOps 2003. Yeah, please, ma'am, check. Okay. You should have DevOps 2002, which is earlier batch, and you should have 2003, where we are going to put our current batch content. So as a reference, I know some of you guys may face the login is slower. We will explain you why it is. It is also your case study. Okay. So don't be very, don't feel very unpleasant why the system is acting so slow sometimes. We'll tell you why. We know the reason, and there's something interesting case study. We will talk about that later on. Okay. So you should see these docs, and you should see similar docs. Okay. Yeah, please, other guys also check. It should be under your old username. So this one I will be time to time updating. If I have something, usually I don't give much this type of notes or documents. At least in DevOps course, I don't. So you will use this, okay, for your reference in future if you want to look into. Okay, so I will go back, and I will show you what I would like to show you. Okay, so this is the course content you have seen earlier, okay, in the video, in the introductory video. Okay, but I will go over this at first little bit, but maybe it's not needed. Okay, it's not needed actually. I will go over. Okay, let me go over this first. This is a very high level. This is not like very class by class descriptions. So we are going to try to understand some networking fundamentals, right? Some IP addressing, some VPC connections, some subnetting, things like that. Some very basic IP fundamentals, okay, networking fundamentals. This is needed for us in order to start with cloud and other stuff. Actually, you know what? I should go here first. Class by class roadmap. That's much better. Okay, so actually this is open. So you will have the same one in the LMS. So you will see that it's named as you will see it's named as class by class roadmap. Okay, so in this roadmap, say we have all these 32 classes laid out, but there will be slight difference. Okay, there will be Both should work. Okay, anything you found in your email, username and password, that will work as long as you do not keep any white space. Usually what people does when they copy those username or things like that, they actually copy another white space extra, the space extra, so that may cause issues. You should be able to sign in with that username and password. Okay, and just anyway, in case you have issues to log in, you need to notify. Asif, I believe you have. If you don't have, you send me a screen capture, okay? And we will see what you don't have, okay? We'll check. We'll keep a note. After class, I will check, okay? So let's go over this roadmap quickly, and then we will be fine for today, okay? And any of you have these issues, let me know. So this was our first class, right? We spoke about DevOps. We didn't speak about DevOps in AWS aspect, okay? That's another things we need to talk, that will take time. So today we'll skip that one, right? We are talking about DevOps, right? We now how the DevOps goes with AWS, right? This thing we need to, we need to understand a little bit. So we may cover it sometimes later, okay? We spoke about little bit about developer associate exam and AWS solution certified solution architect associate exam. So these are the hyperlink. If you go into this link, it should take you some PDF guide. These are like AWS documentation, not by mine. They says you what do they expect for you from you, what are the recommendation they have in order you appear for AWS certified developer associate exam. So you can take some time to read it, but most of things may not make some sense now, doesn't matter. This I kept only for your reference. As we proceed with the services, as we start learning AWS services, everything will make sense. Okay, it will not happen by one day, but this reference will remain in the document for your reference. Okay, and the other one is AWS Solution Architect. You can also read what AWS is recommending you, SSC02, and you can see what are the things they may ask you. Multiple choice question, multiple responses. We will go over the exams, okay, in future classes. We will roll out one by one. Don't worry. Okay, so for your reference, I kept that two things here. And so we are just remaining with DevOps in AWS aspect. Okay, this is another slide about DevOps intro. You can go over this slide by your own. This is some PDF document. You can look into this. These are similar things what I am talking about, but I will show you one image. That's why I just opened it. You can go over it by your own. Okay, this is not my content. This is the credit goes to these people, not to me. Okay, I collected it from online, and I am someone who loves to give credit to people for their work. So I strongly believe in giving credit to respected people. So you will see that I am using many resources from here and there, and I will try to mention. If I don't mention, until unless if it is someone else, you need to understand that I am willing to give credit to them. Okay, so that's what we should do. Okay, the internet is open. We get something, we should give credit for the people, to the people, those who are building those, creating those. So this image I want to show, right? That's what the understanding of DevOps to various kind of people, right? You can understand this is an elephant, right? This is an elephant. Someone is holding legs, he is saying it is DevOps. Someone is holding, what is the English of this? Huh?
The trunk.
Trunk? Oh, okay. So I'm very poor in English, okay? You will see I have very poor grammar problems. I have thousands of problems, okay? I sincerely acknowledge that. So I will ask you guys help. So that's a trunk, right? So he's holding trunk and he's saying this is DevOps. He's riding on top. He's saying this is DevOps. This guy is holding the ear, right? And he's saying this is DevOps. Tail, this is DevOps. So that's what the misconception people have. So in all together, maybe this is DevOps, right? There are lots of stuff with that. So that concept, we need to come out of that concept and need to understand this. And this document is there, you guys will read by in your own time, so I will not bother about that. Okay, now this roadmap will remain in the document for you, but it is not necessarily true that we will exactly follow it in every class. Sometimes we may add something, sometimes we may deduct something. Sometimes we like today we hasn't covered this DevOps in AWS aspect. It may take me more 30 minutes to talk about various things within AWS ecosystem. So we have to push back it to some other class, right? So that's how we will adjust things, right? And like another important things, you will see that in this batch I took Python class at the end, right? So there will be scripting class, right? Okay. Oh, I can't see that PNG here. Okay, so don't share this PNG here. Unfortunately, we can't see it. Can you share it in a Slack chat box to me, Jahidul? Okay, Muzammal. If you have access issue, I think you are trying to say you have access issue. Okay, share it in the Slack. Okay, so this Python scripting, because as a DevOps engineer, you need to have a clear picture on programming, and most of you have it. That's why you are here. So I'm very happy that I don't have to go in that nitty-gritty details from ABCD. So, but as a DevOps engineer, you need to be good at some level of scripting. Okay, so in that case, the Python is one of the very popular scripting language which you must know. Apart from that, you may need to know some sorts of bash scripting, some sorts of what do we say, PowerShell scripting, right? So this type of scripting you may have to know, and some other like YAML files and other JSON files, you need to work with those. But primarily, I would say that I will try my best to give you some level of knowledge on Python so that you can write your own Python script to automate some task within DevOps ecosystem. So that when you go in your workplace, you do not struggle. You can handle it. For someone who is like QA engineers, you will get to know that how you can implement it in your world. So this knowledge will come into play in various ways, right? Whatever your position is, whatever your purpose is, it will come into play. And again, I will use these Python applications or Python code to show you some other services within within AWS. So there will be various way of use it. So we will not give you so much of Python knowledge. That's not the goal of this course. We will give you a level of Python knowledge so that you can do some automation tasks. You can create some Python script using some Python libraries, then so that you can automate AWS infrastructures and some other services. So that's one of the programming part within the course. So this time I may pull it at the beginning. Okay, that might be next week or somewhere there. It is not yet fixed in my brain. If I find it comfortable, I will bring it at the beginning. Okay, there are a few more factors I need to consider before I make this decision. So that might be that's why I said that there will be changes, right? But what we will do in next class, you will get to know always. Okay, you will get to know a little bit like what we may expect, so that you can do some early studies before you come into the class. So now let me walk through until end. As I said, it will not be exactly same. That's why I just showed you example of Python and few more things. So one of the primary things is those who do not have AWS account, you will have to have an AWS account in order to finish this course by any means. So I know almost all other candidates apart from those who are attending from Bangladesh maybe. I don't know about you guys personally. Do you have a personal account or not? You need to let me know. And if you do not have, we will have to make sure that you have one. That's perfectly fine. Free tier. We all have free tier. That will be perfectly fine. And for your training, maybe you may have to spend maybe $2, $3, $5, maybe. May not be. Depends how you, if you know how to efficiently manage. We will teach you how to manage efficiently our account, definitely when we open account. Okay, fantastic. Two of you have. And Wahid, what about you? Okay, no issues. So you will have to have one, but don't worry, don't rush. It's not needed today. I will instruct you in a upcoming days. Yes, if like I think Muntakin has Educate account. Educate account gives you some yeah, you guys can communicate. Okay, no issues. So that's perfectly fine. But we will do some security setup once you are done with the account. Once you have an account, but yes, we will try to initiate that step maybe in next class or maybe day after next class, okay, or maybe third class. So we will decide on that. So we will be talking about a bunch of AWS services including securities, and there are different level of services. Now these most of things may not make sense if you are very new to AWS, okay, but I can tell you few high level things. We will be going over some very simple Linux commands, Linux stuff, how we can Linux file system, file operations, things like that. That will be one part. We will go in another class which will be about maybe only version controlling system. Before that, I will just recheck, uh, is there anyone who do not have version controlling knowledge, Git knowledge? So I know, what about you three guys? Do you have, I know most of you develop, so you guys are well versed with Git, right? Okay, fantastic. So very often you use it, right? Shared that image. Okay, cool, fantastic. So we can save that time. Um, we can save that time and maybe we can utilize in something else. That would be fantastic. In my last batch, there was a candidate, he didn't have that expertise on that, so I had to spend some time. So well, but again, we'll go over Linux commands, some basic networking stuff. So we have to go on that, otherwise we'll be struggling. And rest of the classes, we'll be going one after one AWS services to learn in different level. Some in for exam purpose, some for very low level information purpose, hands-on a lot purpose. So there will be number of services. These are listed here. I'm not calling them by name because if I call them by name, this is too much. Okay. We'll be talking about relational database. We'll be talking about NoSQL database. We'll be working with VPCs, load balancers. We will be working with something with Docker to have a fair understanding on Docker and something with Docker Compose. Okay, fantastic, good. So that's fine. So I think we will not have to invest time on Git, which is definitely good news, right? So we'll be, then there is something called AWS well-architected tools. We will know how to, so there are a bunch of services, and I don't want to call by their name. There are a bunch of services we have to go over within AWS ecosystem. Thus, you will see how we can use it as a developer, how we can use those as a solution architect, how as a DevOps engineer, what is my responsibility within these all these services, right? What I am going to do. So that AWS will be our playground, right? All these classes, if you look into that, we will be focusing on one infrastructure as a code within AWS system. So one thing I should clarify you guys, maybe that whiteboarding will do. Okay, so when you are a DevOps engineer, we look few things. Number one, I don't like this color. So number one, do you have CI/CD knowledge? When we talk about CI/CD, a lot of things come into play. So let's say Git come into play, then some orchestration tool like Jenkins come into play, or maybe it could be, in our case, we have something else. We have code build too. We have code build and something. We have something else in our AWS system. and then there are some orchestration tools, okay, some other tools as well, say like Octopus, there are more. So tools related to CI/CD, number one. Number two, monitoring, right? So there are monitoring tools, right? So we need to know some monitoring tools, and we will use number of monitoring tools like CloudWatch, like Elasticsearch. Is there anyone who has heard the name called Elasticsearch? That is an open source tool, right? Oh, fantastic. Have you guys worked with Elasticsearch or you just heard the name? Why then, Shoman? Oh, good, fantastic. So as a monitoring tool, we will learn from the provisioning to maintaining Elasticsearch and using Elasticsearch at some point of the course. So that will be one of the key takeaway out of Elasticsearch. So that out of monitoring tool. In the monitoring tool, we have CloudWatch. We'll heavily learn CloudWatch, which is within AWS ecosystem. Then you need to know something called infrastructure as a code, IAC, right? What that means, infrastructure automation. So this can be done in various ways. It can be done using Ansible, Chef, Puppet, using Terraform. I named how many? 1, 2, 3, 4 tools. And in AWS, there is something called CloudFormation, CF. Okay, something called CloudFormation. You must know at least one infrastructure as a code. What is infrastructure as a code? How to do it? What we will do? We'll learn it in the future. I'm trying to note down key things a AWS DevOps engineer or a DevOps engineer should know. He should have a clear understanding on CI/CD and related or associated tools. He should have a clear and concrete understanding on monitoring tools, at least one or two. He should have a clear understanding on infrastructure as a code. Now that can be achieved using various orchestration various tools, and at least you need to know one very well. You need to know thoroughly one. So in our case, that's going to be CloudFormation template. Okay, if we can accommodate time, we will look into Ansible, but if not, I'm not promising on that. Now, number 4, I am missing something here. What I am missing? Scripting, okay? You have to be well versed in at least 1 or 2 scripting, Bash and Python. Okay. In my case, I'll be focusing on more on Python. I may provide you few Bash script, but I'll be focusing on Python. So we'll start from basic Python like data types and things like that, variables, functions, and then we'll create Python script to the fundamentals one, basic one, the one you can use in your AWS system. Now, this is what an AWS DevOps engineer need to know, or a DevOps engineer need to know. Oh, on top of that, there is 5th one, okay, containerization. So you need to know a containerization as well. People are looking for this quality. Do you know Docker or not? So we will learn Docker. What we will not learn, what I can't promise to you guys, that's called containerization orchestration. So that's one level up. In order to do that orchestration, we need to know Docker, and it is very hard for us to manage that time to reach Docker and go for orchestration tools like Kubernetes. Okay, unfortunately, we can't go for Kubernetes. So that orchestration we are not going, but there is something called ECS, Elastic Container Service, okay, or EKS within AWS. This is within AWS. We may try to show you something within this service, okay, but sorry, we cannot go for Kube or Kubernetes. No, there will be Java application in order to do the deployment, but in a coding perspective, we will not write any code with Java. Okay, I may show you some examples, but we are not going to do anything with Java. We may write some functions, we may show you some example, because As a DevOps engineer, you are handling code. So you may have to handle Java code, you may have to handle Python code, you may have to handle .NET code, you may have to handle Go or Node.js code, JavaScript code. So that's somehow the beauty of a DevOps engineer. He plays with all forms of code. He may have to, depends on which environment you are, depends on what your development team is working on. But you are not solely writing code. So solely you are writing for your scripting purpose. We need to know something at least. That's what Python we need. Okay, we need to do some form of scripting. So in that case, you will see all the DevOps position requirement is you need to have a very good command over at least one or two scripting languages. And common cases it is Python. There are exceptional cases, they may ask you to know Ruby. So Ruby is like a very popular even within the DevOps community, but that's not maximum project. Maximum project they will ask you Python. So you know at least one scripting language is good. People knows that you can pick up rest another one if needed during in your project. Make sense? Do we feel that we got some overview about our course, about our roadmap? Is this little bit clear? Right? So we are using AWS as our playground. Okay, we are using AWS as our core ground because within the ecosystem of AWS, we have all these bunch of services. Now, apart from these, number one, number two, number three, number four, number five, number six, these are the common things what a DevOps engineer must know, right? These are day-to-day tasks. Day-to-day task is you need to do the continuous integration and continuous deployment. You need to do monitoring. It is a day-to-day task. It is an hourly task. It is not like one day you do, you forget. It is everyday task. Infrastructure as a code, it is a day-to-day task. Then scripting, it is also a day-to-day task. You have to maybe maintain a script, you have to create a script, you have to do something with a script. And then containerizations. So you may end up in an organization where still people are not using Dockers, right? Or maybe they are in the plan of using Docker. There are organizations like that. Okay. So in that case, you may not need Docker, but Docker is one of the key skill set you need to have in your bucket when you would like to claim yourself as a DevOps engineer. But Docker has nothing to do with others, right? Now, then again, apart from all these 4 or 5, 6 points, right? These has associated n number of tools, 10, 20, 30, 40 services. We'll try to learn those within AWS ecosystem. Apart from that, we will learn some other services like let's say some other services like DynamoDB, which is a NoSQL DB content. Okay, Muntakin, it will be clear. Okay, it will not. It is not going to be very wise for me to answer this question. Okay. Muntakin. Okay, thank you. So that if you guys should ask me a question, okay. Sometimes I may not answer your question. I will say that this is not appropriate time to answer, and I would expect that you will take it professionally. It's not like I don't want to answer your questions. It's like I don't find it is appropriate to answer now. But you should ask your question, any question you have. You may not have the ability to judge whether this is appropriate or inappropriate. So you should be fearless when you ask question. Any question, any level of question, doesn't matter. Okay, it will be as long as you do respect people around you. Okay, as long as you do that. So anyways, like the service like DynamoDB, it's a NoSQL DB. As a DevOps engineer, how much do you need to know? Not too much. Not too much, to be honest. But we'll try to know more because when you go for developer associate exam, they are going to ask you a bunch of questions on DynamoDB, which is a NoSQL DB, another form of database. Most of you know what is NoSQL DB. Not most of you, all of you should know, right? So in that case, we have to learn that. Likewise, there are many other services we have to jump into and we have to learn, right? Which is not like a mandatory things for a DevOps engineer to know. But we are trying to focus on couple of things. Like we are focusing on developer associate certificate, we are focusing on solution architect, and we have people from QA background, we have people from development background. So we would like to meet everyone's requirement, not only one, right? So there will be services likewise we have to jump into, like say code pipeline, code deploy, code build, app spec. These are all related to your CI/CD, right? And then Cognito, this is related to some form of security. Okay, this is some related to some form of security services within AWS. And guys, don't get afraid. Like any of you, don't get afraid when I'm talking. Maybe I'm talking a little fast now, and I'm talking about lots of 4-5 services which you never heard of. Maybe don't care. The formula remains same. Those who are old, those who are new. What is the formula? We never memorize. We don't memorize. We learn things, we forget things. We relearn, we recall, and we use it. So we are not afraid of anything. That's like a simple motto. So don't care about what name is Jahidul, calling out and what these nonsense things is talking about. Don't care. So we'll be looking into this type of services: API Gateway, Lambdas, Cloud9, CodeStar, XYZ. There are a number of services we need to look into, okay, within AWS system. So we'll be looking into in the course of our classes in future. I hope I have tried to give you a clear roadmap of rest of the classes. Yes or no? Yes. Okay, so all right. So I think we are already 20 minutes extra in our out of our schedule. So guys, we'll see you on any last moment question. Okay, fantastic. And I appreciate that you guys took some time to sit down and to listen all those nonsense stuff. And you all are in assessment period. If you like to continue, you continue. If you don't like to continue, just be a little bit gentle enough to give me a reminder, to give me a feedback that okay, this thing is not going well with me, it's not needed for me, I'm not joining, I can't continue. So I would be happy to know that. Okay, so that's only one request. And we will also see what you are doing, how you are are you doing it willingly, do you have the commitment or not. This thing we will definitely assess as we spoke before. So take your time, you have one day between, and you will have everything in your hand. You also have the earlier class videos access, okay, as promised. And if you want, you can watch those videos for your own understanding. And if any of you can help these gentlemen who don't have account, that will be very good. You will save some time. And when all of you have your account, we will try to ensure that we do manage your billings and other stuff very carefully, because we don't want you to be billed too much high due to your because you forget something. So we'll ensure that you have it. And yeah, we will be connected, and we'll see you on Thursday 7:30 Eastern time. Okay, bye for today. Good night.
Hello.
Thank you.
Hello, yeah.
Yes, Asif, go ahead.
Yeah, I sent you screenshot. Okay. I don't see the older videos. I see the course, but I mean, I don't think I I have it.
Okay, you send me screen capture. Let me look into that. Okay, other guys you can drop. Okay, understood. So you don't have access actually. So I will just look into and I will make sure that you have it. Other guys
Okay.
you can drop. Those who don't have any issues, you guys can drop and go for your work. 1 second, Asif. Online, be online. Okay, let me just stop recording.
Okay,
I
no
sent
problem.
you also a screenshot.